don't know if you guys are seeing all this, but a lot of the mainstream channels are tuned into what's happening in Los Angeles. And, no matter who it's happening to, whether it's, you know, um, whether it's back in what was in 1992 with the Rodney King trial, or whether it was 2020 with George Floyd, or whether it's what's happening right now here, or the lack of reaction and action during the January 6th incident, whether it is whoever it is impacting at the time, this is the livelihood of human beings. So, at the very least, we need to have a discussion about how do we go forward and not have this again. You know, there's huge debate on who's at fault, and there's just a lot of people at fault. There's this inability to tell the truth about who really has the right to be in this land. There's the fact that people were brought over once they settled it and made it all clear as to who they felt like this land belongs to, and then started setting up the rules and the regulations and constitution and laws per county, per city, per state. Once those things happen, then it is still the biblical way to follow the law of the land, right? So the laws have changed constantly over time. The laws are strategic in nature to alienate and segregate, and we know all of that, right? So it's a serious conversation to just turn your back and say, "Oh, I don't care." Let me tell you something. What happens in LA could be in your way. What's happening in LA today could be your way tomorrow. Like this is all the result of people resisting the order that came in from the president in regard to whatever it is that they want the organization of ICE to do, right? So that's what all of this is even about. So this is just they parked in the parking lot. They were at Home Depot. Word got misconstrued, misinformation got put out that they were trying to go in and get the people at Home Depot, which is problematic because at that particular Home Depot, how many people were not supposed to be in this nation? Right? And then that became a problem, and they began to resist, and then they didn't listen to ICE, and then they started pushing them out, and then law enforcement had to assist. And the president has now had to call in National Guard. He sent 200, but he has 2,000 ready. They're also talking about Marines on hold, waiting for any potential call that they may need to come in. This is the third day of this incident happening in Los Angeles, California, right now. But this is all from the reaction to people not wanting to leave that came over here. Whoever let them over here, whether it was, you came and you had a pass and you overstayed your pass, or, you came over here and entered in illegally, whatever it is, they, if they say that you were supposed to go, it's better to adhere to the law of the land, right? An example is that one content influencer, he was detained a few days ago. Very popular TikTok guy, the one that's always silent and does his whole thing, kind of without sound kind of videos, and became really popular from that, right? Well, he was here in for the Met Gala, overstayed his visa to come in for the Met Gala. He was detained. He was asked to leave. He voluntarily did so. He went back to Italy. He's a citizen of it. He's Senegalese, but he's a citizen of Italy. So he went back home, and no resistance. So they have said over and over again, look, you may be able to get a chance to come here. There may be another way to do it in a legal manner. But as for right now, what we have going on, their order is we want everyone to leave that's not supposed to be here, just to give us a chance to clean our home. So you know how you have that squatter, that one guest at your home that you like, okay, I know I let you come over here. I know that that was probably an ill decision on my behalf, which is why the administrations in charge need to always make sure that you're thinking 10, 30, 40, 50 years ahead of time when you make decisions like that. So, okay, you came and you're here, but it's causing a bunch of conflict and things are going on. So, because of that, we need you to go back to where you came from and give me a moment to get the home in order, right? And so that's a reasonable request. To resist their request is going to be what's causing the scenes that we're seeing today. So let's just jump in and take a look at what we're seeing happen, screen to screen, okay? Let's take a look at some of the ones that have live feeds going. Quite a few people have live feeds going right now. So that's sort of an angle that's coming from the New York Post, has their angle, going, and they're just basically capturing. See if I have enough sound going on there, just so you can kind of hear, just thinking of the people that live in that area and anyone suffering from anxiety or the PTSD. Those sounds have, especially anyone who has been to, in battle and having to hear those noises, I can only imagine what they're going through, right? And it's just unreal. Like it seems like it's calming down now, but you'll never believe what that scene looked like just a few minutes ago. Just a few minutes ago, they have had people in handcuffs, and we're seeing a lot of people now starting. It's no longer about will you go, will you go. They're starting because they were popping something off and sending it. I can't tell if this is National Guard or it looks like it's National Guard mixed with ICE assisting with LAPD. Is that the announcement that was made? And it's, leadership is going back and forth with the finger pointing, everybody's, oh, you're at fault, all that, but that doesn't really solve what we see happening right now, right? So let's take a look, and I'm going to stop in and go through a couple of different channels just to show you what I see.
The California Highway Patrol, as you know, is in charge of the freeways. So they have moved all of the protesters back. They still might be there, but they are beginning to be dispersed. But LAPD is on the perimeter, so LAP is actively involved. You know that there were hundreds of protesters on the freeway and thousands of protesters off the freeway. So there
Yeah, it
is a
seems like
joint
what they're trying to do is just
collaboration
make
going
sure that they
with the
don't get to the
CHP,
freeway.
the
We've
LAPD,
seen what
and then
has
frankly
happened
the
in the
National
past
Guard.
when
But
they
you
do
also know that
get
the
to the
National
freeway.
Guard is
That can
deployed to
be
protect
really
federal
messy.
property.
So this
So
is
there is
just,
a
like
National
if you
Guard
want to go take a look at
troops in
whichever
Westwood
channel that you
at
look
the
at,
federal building
these are
and
the
also
different
here
channels that
downtown.
have feeds on.
Jason?
Mayor Mouse, have you reached out directly to the federal government, or is this you doing so right now with the media here? Have you tried to reach
No,
out?
my disappointment is I've been talking to the federal government for days. I was hoping to prevent this situation from happening. I was trying to encourage the
Yeah, because at the point that she was
administration
saying
that
that
if
the
they
guard
deployed the
wasn't coming
National
in, they'd
Guard in
already
Los
announced
Angeles,
that the guard
it would
was pretty
create a
much
sense
almost
of
there.
chaos. It's the last thing our city needs. Our city is still trying to recover from the wildfires. And you just think about how so many people were impacted by that. And that's an example of where the administration was helpful. And to go from that situation to where we are now is just really tragic, and I think it's so unfortunate. It's the last thing Los Angeles needs.
When you say you reached out to the federal government, you have you reached to President Trump?
So you have the mayor now addressing some of the issues. And the New York Post is there, just different people that have their feed going, showing. And like I said, if you had been here just a few moments ago, before I went on, it was bad. You could even see the ground. It was just gas and whatever methods they were using, trying to get everyone to calm down. So just go check that out for yourself, but just, rewind to what I said in the beginning and just kind of keep that in mind, with what you're seeing happening. And we have so much more that we will debate later and without using the live feed. And we'll come back and to have, there's a lot that we need to discuss in regard to who messed up. Biden administration, Obama administration, Trump administration, where was the miss on this? And how did it get this bad? To where they feel that they need to go to this length to get everybody out of the country. And how far will it go? Is it just LA? How soon will it be in every other city, major city in each major, in the states, across the states, wherever these numbers are the most, and they're trying to clear people out. How are all the cities with large numbers of people that are here, that are over that have overstayed their passes to be here? Are Is it going to impact every city soon? Is it just LA? Is just ground zero? You know what I mean? That's kind of the questions that we have. All right, you guys, we'll come back and talk about it soon. I'm trying to see if it's going to do what happened earlier when those sounds, they were going off and they were going back and forth, and it just was really, out of control as they were pushing the. I don't know if that's all just guard only, but guard, ICE, LAPD. They were being pushed back by the crowd. There were some arrests being made, but it's been bad. Just looking at the footage of it, it's really been just another historical mess for the nation. I'm gonna pop out of here and we'll talk about it again, you guys. Like I said, we'll do a debate about it. It's heartbreaking to come across and see for sure.